Limits of the Flesh, Chapter 3, Fantasy Fiction by Azazyel. The rest of the day was the eternal boredom of a normal school. Besides the panty flashes the short skirts couldn't seem to hide from occurring every damned 5 minutes. Literally, if I had to watch that Milf math teacher spin around back and forth to point at students and to the problems on the board making her skirt fly up with each damn spin, I was going to go insane. A man shouldn't be getting a fucking boner in math class. God, how far I have fallen. Finally, the last class ended. I used my all-powerful biomanipulation powers to do something every teenager in public school wishes they could do. I used it to make a boner go away, so I didn't have to do the whole tuck-in-the-waistband trick and hope to God some girls didn't notice me hobbling as I walked to and from classes. As the final class ended, I just relaxed as some of my classmates talked to me, as I was obviously the hottest new thing to hit the school life that wasn't Kiba getting drawn in some yaoi situation by the creepier schoolgirls. But most of the girls that were in my class weren't bad, and out of the almost 30 students in the class, only 4 of my classmates were actually boys, though thankfully I didn't have any of the perverted trio in any of my classes other than apparently gym class. Alright, girls, I need to get home and unpack the rest of my stuff for my move here, I said as an excuse, and all the girls graciously allowed their new source of gossip to escape their clutches with promises that once I got a new phone that would work here in Japan I would exchange emails with them, as apparently they preferred to use emails rather than texts to save money. Okay, Jake, see you tomorrow. One of the more energetic girls said cheerfully as she led her little friend group in another direction. As we all exited the school gate, and with my little hanger-ons gone, my sociable smile slipped away on as I rubbed my face. Damn, I forgot how difficult it can be to be so social, after leaving high school behind, I muttered as I walked towards my apartment. Once I was sure I wasn't being followed by either of the peerages, I decided to take the initiative in my plans. I backtracked, and with my olfactory senses heavily enhanced and otherwise modified, I was able to single out the scent of the hormone I placed on Issei and follow it wherever he was going. Thankfully it was directly home, as shown by the scent ending at a somewhat vaguely familiar home I recalled seeing in the anime. It was a fairly standard upper-middle class, 2-story Japanese home, and I knew intuitively that he would be upstairs, and if I was lucky, he wouldn't already have his dick in hand and masturbating to the sites he peeped on earlier. But this was Issei Hayadu, so I wouldn't bet on it. After looking around, seeing the neighbors' windows were very clearly fully covered with a blackout drape, probably so Issei couldn't peep, I began to crawl up the walls of the outside of the house after seeing no one was around when I pinpointed the sound of some kind of game or show coming from a certain window. I guessed that Issei's parents probably weren't home, and either way, it didn't matter, as once I reached the window of the room, I pinpointed. I biomorphed my finger to act as a gas dispenser and grimaced at how even with my supernatural constitution the highly condensed melatonin gas I gently sprayed into the corner of the window made even me feel exhausted. Ugh. Kates and the others must have made me even more tired than usual. I heard Issei mumble through the closed window thanks to my enhanced hearing, and as he was muttering about how he and his friends had already cooked up a revenge plot consisting of stealing my clothes during gym class and hiding them somewhere in the girls' locker room and having me go into there to steal them, I just ignored his bullshit as I waited, still pouring out the natural sleeping chemicals. A couple of minutes later, when I was fairly sure my chemical concoction had put the ass muncher into a deep sleep, I, not knowing how to open his window from the other side, just broke its hatches through a slow increase in pressure till the obviously old plastic locks snapped, and although I heard Issei snort in his sleep at the sound of the window opening, I wasn't worried, as by my estimations that amount of the gas I put out was enough to keep a healthy bull asleep unless someone stabbed it or something. Issei Hayadu. Now what do I do with you? I muttered as I dragged his desk seat over to his bed and looked at his sleeping form as I considered my options. The first step I did was lightly poke him, and thankfully with my much more enhanced body his body was mapped out fairly easily, other than his body being far more resilient due in part to his sacred gear, and I imagined the regular beatings. He was a bog-standard teenage, but for one very obvious difference. He had a sort of extra organ. No, not a literal organ, but something immaterial, constantly affecting his body, and was attached to something I could not yet see, and I instantly knew what it was. His sacred gear, the boosted gear, a Longinus that gave a bog-standard human the potential to slay gods, and it was in the hands of someone with literally the worst talent in the history of all the wielders, but his complete obsession with breasts was able to reach across universes, which allowed a breast goddess to bless him and make him actually a viable entity in the world. But as I coaxed his flesh, a glowing baseball of flesh consisting of his sacred gear, his muscles, and even a layer of skin covered the ball biomatter I took from Issei's body. Now recalling how Drake was practically asleep until his hosts woke him up, I decided that merging some of Issei's flesh into my own temporarily, so it would be as though Issei died before he could awaken Drake, so the Red Dragon of Domination didn't believe I merely stole his host. Once the ball of biomass was fully extracted from Issei, I merged into myself and smiled as I finally felt the boosted gear begin to automatically attach itself to my soul, but I kept my powerful mana from reaching the inactive sacred gear so I wouldn't awaken Drake over the sleeping form of some dude. Now, the real question is what I do with you, I said as I leaned over Issei and pondered my options before I came to a firm realization. I wasn't a sociopath. I honestly didn't have it in me to kill Issei Hayadu in cold blood as he slept before me, despite how annoying he was. Honestly, just taking his sacred gear was enough, as it was still early in the year and Kaneko hadn't taken a bit whiff of him and found out he had a dragon-like smell on him. Coming to the decision that I wasn't going to kill or otherwise harm the idiot, I wondered if I should gender bend him for the laughs, but then I realized that would point to me in time once knowledge of my abilities inevitably got out. So, without a thought, I poked him again, shrunk his dick size by an inch, and not wanting to stay another minute in the dried semen smelling room, I hopped out of the window and returned home.